Hello dear viewers, and welcome to another video from this here dwarf of the mountain. Today, in the ancient halls of our ancestors, we'll be talking about the game Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning is a third-person RPG or role-playing game set in a magical world of Amular. It was initially released in 2012, developed by Big Huge Games and 38 Studios, with the latter also publishing the game with Electronic Arts. Sadly, 38 Studios filed for bankruptcy shortly after release in a tale concerning bank loans from the state of Rhode Island in America. The rights to the series were bought out by THQ Nordic. The game was remastered and with refined gameplay by Kaiko, and Re-Reckoning was released in September 2020. Before we start, it is that time again, dear viewers, where I appeal to your wonderful nature and ask you to bequeath my channel with a subscription, a thumbs up, and perhaps a comment with your thoughts on the game. If you might do this, I would be most grateful, of course. It helps the channel an awful lot. So, back to the game. The art direction of Amular is much stylized. Rather than going for cutting-edge fidelity, the graphics are more whimsical and light, and a little bit chunky. The characters are bright, with emphasis on striking colours and sweeping lines rather than realistic hair physics and a more toned down palette. If you like the style of the Fable series, then you would certainly like this as well. Also, if you were looking for a more photorealistic, bleeding edge graphical style, then this might disappoint, dear viewers. The scenery, the town, the forests, the caverns, oh, the caverns, and everything else are all very much colourful and rich, providing a wonderful backdrop to proceedings. Amular does feel like a lived-in world that is certainly alive. Indeed, there seems to be bad creatures and quests to do round every corner. The music is what you might expect from a fantasy-focused RPG, with the sound effects giving good feedback while in combat, though some of the levels seem out of place with certain effects suddenly jumping up in their volume unexpectedly. A lot of the dialogue is voiced, which is very nice, though your own character is that stoic, classic, silent type. Kingdoms of Amalur has a wonderful start menu. You can continue the game should you wish to continue. You can load a game to load a game. Start a new one should you fancy. Check all those options in the options. Look at the manual. Check the credits. Get a Fate Swan DLC, and lastly, you can exit. You begin the game dead, which is a good start. I guess it can only get better from there at least. You are carried on a cart by some gnomes in some secret hidden place. They talk about you and the other corpses they have documented, before tipping you down a hole with the rest of the perished souls. It is here that you create your character from the modest character creation screen. Once you're done, you'll be woken up mysteriously by some esoteric power as the secret laboratory comes under attack by some angry evildoers. It is now up to you to get through the lab while doing battle with said evildoers as you hope to escape destruction. Once you've escaped, it is now up to you again to find out more about these invading evildoers and discover how you came back to life. Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning is an open-world RPG consisting of numerous zones connected by roadways and paths. When you're in a particular zone, the local map will show everything within its boundaries. The world map shows all of the zones in the whole world, which are separated by climate, so there is a cluster of foresty maps, desert maps, etc. You can explore each of the maps as you like, discovering treasures and secrets or coming across quests to complete and baddies to take down. Zones usually have some sort of hub town where you can interact with various NPCs, pick up quests, buy and sell items, and do some crafting. There are certainly a few parts of this that feel kind of fairground MMO-ish, moving through locations and onto the next after completing the previous, but there is no restriction, dear viewers, on where you can go, so you could hurtle towards the later zones if you wish, though you may perish. There are quests that exist that spread across several zones, especially the main quests, but a lot of side quests and tasks, as labelled in the quest log, tend to be focused around the immediate zone that you are in. So how are the quests, you might ask? Well, there's a lot of go here, kill this tasks, as you might expect, along with fetch quests where you might need to collect some herbs or other item from the local area. There are also times where you need to investigate a certain location or get to the bottom of what is causing an unrest in the vicinity. This involves travelling to a specific location that has its own instance which loads in rather than being part of the open world which you can travel to without pause. It is enjoyable running around in the colourful land and getting stuck in some questing, but sometimes it does feel a little bit grindy. As you progress through the journey, completing quests and fighting monsters, you will increase your XP or experience points until you reach a new level. When this happens, you'll gain access to the level up screens. These consist of 3 different screens where you're able to select and upgrade features for your character. The first screen consists of skills, which the player can become useful at. These are general skills that help you through the world and not necessarily tied to combat. For example, there is a lock-picking skill which allows you to pick locks on chests, alchemy that allows you to craft potions, and persuasion which provides additional options at certain times when talking to NPCs or non-player characters. There is quite some selection here and you can't focus on everything, so having a think beforehand on what you want your character to focus on would be wise, dear viewers. The second screen is the talent system. This all revolves around combat directly in the game. There are 3 different trees within. The Might tree, which deals with melee combat with big weapons in that classic fighter tradition, going toe to toe with thy enemies, smacking them up as best you can. The Finesse tree, which deals with all sorts of things roguish and sneaky, making use of paired daggers to quietly and swiftly kill enemies before they even know what happened. Lastly is the Sorcery tree, which handles everything magical, which includes the use of storm, earth and fire, as you might expect. The third screen concerns your fate, which is kind of like a star sign or mystical inclination. There are cards you can choose from, just a few at the beginning, which have an ongoing passive effect throughout the game. You start off simply with just a few with low passive upgrades, but as you level up and spend more talent points, and maybe some other features, you will unlock more powerful cards with stronger passives, and in my case changing my dodge into a magic blink, which is most fun. It is likely relevant to mention the ability to respec in game. There are NPCs in the world known as Fate Weavers, who you can visit that will allow you to reset all of your skills, talents and fate. This means you can freely change how you build your character should you realise you made a mistake or want to try a different spec. Perhaps it is wise to hold on to those powerful items you find for other specs should you think you might respec at some point. The combat in the game, which we'll be doing a lot of, is very hack and slash action type. You can swing about your weapons, chaining hits together by spamming attack buttons, but there are also some combination and special types of attacks that you will unlock as you progress through the game. Making use of the dodge button, which is spacebar by default, is also vital to staying alive, as many of the monsters you will be fighting cause a lot of damage if you are struck by their smashing blows. You can also make use of the block mechanic, pressing the button just before you are struck. I prefer to dodge though with my special wizard blink, meow. As you travel through the lands, you will also unlock a house or 2 to act as your home base. They contain a storage chest to hold all the bits you're saving for later, so you don't need to lug it all around with you. Concerning the main story, it is decent enough, featuring some interesting characters covering all the race of Amalur. It spans the length and breadth of the land as you discover what happened to you and the fate of Amular will be. It spans the length and breadth of the land as you discover what happened to you and what the fate of Amular will be, with the naughty Tuatha Fae and Evilry on one side and the Free Peoples on the other. There is a lot more to it, of course, but I won't spoil anything here. Know at least that this is a good enough story with some interesting characters. It is clear that there was a lot of work gone into this game. There's a lot of backstory and history written in detail by R.A. Salvatore, featuring the tales and history of the people of Amular. This certainly wasn't half-arsed. The art was worked on by Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn, so there's definitely a lot going for this game. I think the systems are deep enough to stay engaging for dozens of hours of gameplay. Fairly regularly I would unlock some new flashy ability or spell on which to lay waste to evildoers, which would bring a smile to this old dwarf's face. There are quests too that are somewhat grey, or even clearly immoral or bad. There are choices to be made which will alter the fate of those around you. For this game is greatly concerned with fate, both yours and the denizens of the land. Indeed, the NPCs you speak to for respecting your character are known as Fate Weavers. I have enjoyed playing through this game, our first RPG on the channel, which wasn't some isometric ARPG variety. I must admit I thought I could get through it at a decent pace and experience all of its wonders, but I was mistaken. There is a lot of content here, a lot. You can spend hours just running around a few zones, venturing down the rabbit hole of some quest, like getting to the bottom of the problems that are had with the House of Ballads, or taking on gangs of rogues like the Freemen. I enjoyed my time with Amular for certain. There were points where I thought perhaps I got too bogged down with certain side quests or tasks that felt a bit too grindy, but you can skip them if you wish and focus on the more interesting quests, which there are many. There is of course the main stories as well. I have obsessive compulsive disorder, which makes it difficult not to do every single quest in every single zone, otherwise all the bad things will happen, but you don't have to do them all. It is an RPG after all, it is your choice, so do whatever you wish. As we are on the subject of mental health, I would like to say, dear viewers, that I hope you're doing well at this time. There is a lot going on in the world which can weigh heavy on people's minds. Video games and the wonderful worlds therein are wonderful allies against the encroaching doom. I hope you have some video game or other passion which you enjoy, which helps steel ourselves for whatever may come. Right, anyway, back to the game. This is a solid RPG, one definitely worth checking out. It is quite the time investment, so be warned before you play it. It will suck you in for many hours of fantasy fun. I recommend this to anyone who likes RPGs and is looking for something else to sink their teeth into. It is on sale often at both GOG and Steam, so pick it up when you can and check it out. And there we are, dear viewers, another video from me here at the ancient halls of our ancestors. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will hope to see you next time. Thank you, dear viewers, and goodbye.